On the corner of Clark and Addison in the north side of Chicago sits ancient Wrigley Field, site of baseball's greatest ongoing rivalry, the St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago Cubs. Through the years, this matchup has featured such great ball players as Hack Wilson, Stan Musial, Ferguson Jenkins, Bob Gibson, and of course the great Ernie Banks. The Cubs and the Cardinals meet again for the 1,960th time. CBS Sports presents Major League Baseball. It's the Cubs and the Cardinals as you look at the National League standings in the Eastern Division. But today, don't worry about the standings. It's the Cardinals and the Cubs, and it's always something special. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jack Buck. And long before the people get here to the ballpark, the Cardinal manager, Whitey Herzog, now in his 10th year as the skipper, arrives at the park and stays very, very busy. What do you do, Whitey, when you finally get out here?
Well, the first thing I try to get done, Jack, I try to get the lineup posted. I always think it's very important when a guy comes to the ballpark to know whether he's playing or not. So I look through this little book here that Bielecki's pitched today. I know what every hitter in my ball club's done against Bielecki the last couple of years, and I make my lineup out. People think you just write the names down, but we really do study that a little bit. Then when I'm through with the lineup, of course, then I take yesterday's game in this book here that the pitchers kept for me, and I put it on the master chart here, and I try to chart every pitcher in a different color. That way, when Tudor pitches or McGrain pitches, I look at their color on this chart, and I know how the defenses should be set up. I get my coaches in here, and I'll say, now I want Ozzie to play in the hole with Tudor pitching and things like that. When I'm through with that, then I get the stat sheet, and it's very important, as far as I'm concerned, to check the other team's stats, especially the switch hitters. Do they hit better right-handed? Do they hit better left-handed? And I have to know all those things when I'm on the bench because I don't want to get beat by a guy in the 8th inning that's hitting 340 left-handed and 220 right-handed if I bring in a right-hand pitcher. So I try to have all those things prepared before I go out in the field.
And you love Wrigley Field.
Well, I love Chicago, Jack. I don't necessarily like Wrigley Field. I've always said, I've heard this for 40 years, beautiful Wrigley Field. And I really don't see what's beautiful about it. I guess if Ivy makes it beautiful, we ought to all put Ivy on our walls.
Let's join my partner, Tim McCarver.
These are the vines to which Whitey Herzog disdainfully referred, planted by Bill Veeck back in 1938. This ballpark, built in 1914, certainly holds its share of memories. Ernie Banks' 500th home run, Stan Musial's 3,000th hit. Supplying the memories this afternoon, Andre Dawson, Ryne Sandberg of the Cubs, and Pedro Guerrero and Vince Coleman of the Cardinals. I'll tell you one thing about this rivalry. Not only do the fans get involved, but the players too. Should be a lot of fun.
They're here from St. Louis, Carbondale, Peoria, Bloomington, Moline, and the Quad Cities. It's a sellout at Wrigley Field, and it's breezy and cool. Let's play some baseball.
To do is check the flags at Wrigley Field. 63 degrees, a 17-mile-an-hour wind blowing from left to right, a left-handed hitter's dream and a right-handed pitcher's nightmare.
And two right-handers are pitching today, including Mike Bielecki, who was an 18-game winner last year. And look at his stats this year, 3-6. Tim McCarver will set the defense for you.
In left field for the Cubs, Dwight Smith, last year's runner-up as Rookie of the Year to teammate Jerome Walton. In center field, Marvell Wynn, coming over from the Padres last year on August 31st. Andre Dawson, the Hawk. You heard the interview with Greg Gumbel before the game. At third base, Curtis Wilkerson, who came to the Cubs from Texas, along with Mitch Williams, Paul Kilgus, Sean Dunston at shortstop. Made only one throwing error this year. Speaking of errors, Ryne Sandberg at second base. Only a second error yesterday since June 20th of last year. Slick fielding Mark Grace over at first base. And behind the plate, a guy who really doesn't receive as much credit as he should, Joe Girardi. And as Jack said on the mound, Mike Bielecki.
And here's the lineup Bielecki will be facing today. You get Vince Coleman out, and you'll beat the Cardinals most of the time. Willie McGee in center, Pedro Guerrero at first. Batting fourth for only the third time this year is Todd Zeile. Terry Pendleton at third. Milt Thompson in right. Ozzie Smith. Jose Oquendo at second. And another right-hander in the game will be Bob Tewksbury, pitching for Whitey Herzog. Hitter is Vince Coleman. He's having a terrific year. And how are they going to play for him? He's behind the plate. Gary Darling at first, the crew chief Bruce Fremming at second base, and Frank Pulley, who worked the plate yesterday, is umpiring at third. 2-2. Right back to Bilecki. You get Coleman out, and you'll beat the Cardinals most of the time. Batting mark, .316, but only one home run. He's come to be kind of a slap hitter.
Most of the home runs are hit.
That's through the hole. McGee has quite a stroke going. He had 3 hits yesterday, and he slapped it in the left. That's what Busch Stadium does to these hitters.
Busch Stadium was too big to hit home runs. The Cardinals last in the National League in home runs with 31, and those are the types of hitters that they have in the lineup with up right now.
But even when he plays at home, Pedro Guerrero has become an opposite field hitter. He did hit a home run here yesterday, and he has 8 for the season. Strike 2. Mark Grace is holding against McGee. Cardinals have stolen 98. And they really only have about 3 people who do steal the bases.
Stolen against him this year.
They say the afternoon will be better weather-wise as we go along. McGee at first, 1 out. And Guerrero fans. Down, down, down. The pitch from Bilecki for the second out. Look at that batting mark, 240. Yet Whitey Herzog says that this fellow, Zeal, is probably playing best of all on the Cardinal club.
Tendency to swing at that split finger.
There's another hit for Zeal. He's been good with the bat lately. And McGee stops at second as Dwight Smith gets it back in.
You've got to worry about your defense, your throwing, the relationship you have with your pitchers, the learning process of handling the pitchers. Very few catchers have just broken into the major leagues and done well the first year. Gerard
here in the opening inning. 1 out single by McGee, a 2 out single by Zeal. And in the dirt, second and third with 2 out. That's a wild pitch. We told you Girardi was going to be busy. 3-2. He has a base open. And a hit. A play at the plate coming up. He fumbled the ball a little bit in the outfield, and Girardi dropped the ball, and the Cardinals lead 2-0. Girardi should have caught the ball and made the tag, and it would have been a 1-run inning.
I don't know, Jack. Short hop. Those are the toughest hops to handle because a catcher's mitt is the toughest glove to use. Now, if you had a fielder's glove, you might be able to make that play because you can make the catch in the webbing. But this is that short hop, tough in-between hop. Catchers, you got to keep in mind, are used to blocking pitches like that.
Zeal ever touched the plate? I guess he figured he did. He had time to retouch it. But he left the area, and it is 2-0 St. Louis. And that's a ground ball for Dunston. This will be close. Out at first. For St. Louis, 2 runs, 3 hits. And 1 left for their young pitcher, Tewksbury, to protect at the end of 1/2 inning, 2-0 St. Louis. The Cardinals brought him up when they sent Greg Matthews out, and he pitched a very good game. He has no record during his career against Chicago, and he used to pitch for the Cubs, so Wrigley Field is not a strange atmosphere for him.
Bob, 0-4 for the Cubs in his last stint with them back in 1987.
It's a good one. Smith and left, Sandberg, Grace, Dawson, Wynn, Wilkerson, Dunston, Girardi, and Bilecki. Fly ball behind short. And Coleman one-hands the ball to start the Chicago first.
His MVP season in '84, a better year than he had last year with 30 home runs. Some numbers he's putting up.
Sandberg skies on the left. The wind is moving the ball. Coleman trying again, wants it, and he dropped it. This wind will really make you work here today. It's probably a base hit.
Sandberg, but Willie McGee had McGee and Coleman check the flag. They would realize how difficult the play this is for Coleman. The wind kept taking it, and McGee should have called for that ball, but he couldn't run Coleman off.
Runs batted in. Suddenly, the tying runs at the plate. You can't afford to walk batters like that.
We're going to have field. Willie McGee, the center fielder. Milt Thompson. You don't see too many balls hit between those 3. Terry Pendleton, his 2nd Gold Glove last year. 10 Gold Gloves in a row for Ozzie Smith. Jose Oquendo, only one error this year. Pedro Guerrero, average as a fielder at first, and Todd Zeile, an improved catcher. He's improving daily.
A pop fly put Tewksbury in trouble, and the Giant. Look at those figures. He used to steal a lot of bases to go with those impressive offensive figures, but not anymore with those bad knees that he has. 2-2 is the count. And he got him with a breaking ball. Kept it down, kept it away. Struck him out. 2 on, 2 out. From the left-handed hitters on a day such as this. The wind bristling out there at 17 miles per hour. 2 on, 2 out. Marvell Wynn hits it to Oquendo. Cardinals on top after 1 inning. A hit and a walk, and 2 left for the Cubs. 2-0 St. Louis. American League players will be occupying on July 10th. Here we go with Ozzie Smith hitting one straight up. And Mark Grace makes the catch. Underway in the second inning. St. Louis on top, 2-0.
Difference or not, because I think that team's playing well right now because of all the rumors about Davy Johnson being fired.
Here's a good play on a line drive to Grace for the second out. 2 pitches, 2 out here in the second inning.
Courage in this ballpark.
Well, I've never seen Tewksbury get a hit. 0 for 4. See you later, and that's the second strikeout for Bilecki. Now he's retired 4 in a row. Hitter leading off, and ball 1 from Bob Tewksbury.
Being a much more effective pitcher on the big league level.
Fly ball for McGee. He'll be on his tiptoes. 1 out. Interesting player.
He got his 100th walk.
Another one for McGee. And 2 out. Yeah, that's the sign that Dunston sees coming to the park, and he believes it.
Yeah, right.
He's from Peoria, Illinois. So it's kind of hometown. It's not too far away from Chicago. Out of action. A bouncer to Ozzie. Down go the Cubs. 1, 2, 3. Now we played 2 innings. 2-0 St. Louis.
Give you an idea how far away that scoreboard is. Nobody has ever hit that scoreboard, even with the wind blowing out. Roberto Clemente and Swish Nicholson came close. Sammy Snead did, however, hit a golf ball over the scoreboard.
Leading off in the third, and that's too low. No, Coleman hit his way out. You know, Coleman doesn't go up there looking for walks. He's getting to be a lot like Lou Brock was when he played for the Cardinals.
He didn't have the power that Brock had, but you can't really overstate this. You're a different hitter when you're ahead in the count. And up in bases ahead of Ricky Henderson. Ricky Henderson continuing. He's over 900 now in pursuit of Lou Brock.
Coleman was leaning, and he drew a throw.
Yeah, Henderson didn't stop after 820 games. He kept going.
We'll see.
Effective than the stolen base itself.
Coleman is going. You're out, McGee, and out at second. Coleman says something to Fleming. That's a double play, a strikeout and out stealing.
Get down because that takes time.
Guerrero is a little different hitter with the bases empty. He's more effective when he has folks on base. And he goes the other way into the corner, into the well is Dawson. It's up against. And Guerrero's going to try for 3. Doesn't get many triples, but he will be there with 2 men out.
We talked about the extension of Pedro Guerrero and how he loves to go the other way. Full extension. And with the wind blowing out, this ball misses by about 5 feet from going out. Remember, it's 355 down the line. First triple of the year for Pedro Guerrero.
Guerrero is very gimpy when he walks and when he runs, but once he gets rolling, he covers more ground than you would imagine. Runner at third, 2 up. Ball. therefore puts Zeal on base.
I mean, think about it. You can't, just because you can't handle a pitch, if the guy can't hit it, you can't go away from calling a pitcher's best pitch if you can't handle it.
A triple in this inning, but still haven't scored. It's still 2-0. And Pendleton, who drove in 2 in the first. Took a step in and it killed him, and 2 runs are going to score. And Pendleton goes for third, and he is safe with 2 out. Well, perhaps that's what happens when a fella is not hitting, and that's the problem with the left fielder, Dwight Smith, and that ball fooled him totally. The ball was up a little bit, Tim.
He drives it to left field. It's the first step. You see the first step is in and the ball takes off.
Ball to the wall. What a nasty feeling that is. 2-2 to Thompson. And back to the pitcher. 2 runs on 3 hits and 1 left. We'll return to Wrigley Field after this word from your local station.
That rat-tat-tatted him last Monday. 7 runs in the first 2 innings for the Orioles.
Bilecki becomes the second strikeout victim, and how about this Detroit outfielder?
We talked about
in that Yankee lineup. There's a base hit by Dwight Smith. That's the second hit of the day for the Cubs. And I want to tell you something about Wrigley Field. And Tim McCarver knows this better than I because he played here. A 4-0 lead is nothing.
Guerrero
it doesn't mean a thing.
Guerrero playing in for Dwight Smith. I played in 2 games in particular here in 1976 with the Phillies. We were hit 13-2 or trailing 13-2 in the 6th inning, and ended up winning the game 18-16. Mike Schmidt hit 4 home runs that day.
Some breaking ball, not allowing the other team to hit the fastball very often. A base hit to right. Let's see how far Dwight Smith can come. They hold him up on a double by Sandberg, his second double of the day. That's him, man. He's a smart hitter. He's not stubborn or obstinate. You pitch him away, he'll hit it there. He'll back. And that'll get 1 run home.
Pedro Guerrero had an idea about coming home, but you
nothing.
No.
Dawson struck out his first time. Dawson hits it into the hole. As he puts it in, a run is safely across. That cuts the Cardinal lead in half, 4-2, and brings the tying run to the plate just like that.
What is this, the end?
I mentioned earlier, he doesn't pitch around errors very well, and there's one for Oquendo. He stayed right with that, and the inning is over, but the Cubs get 2.
The infield is complaining a little bit about the infield being a little hard before the game.
And Sandberg booted 1 yesterday, so we've seen a couple of rarities. Ball 4. And Smith can't go.
Oh, great play by Girardi.
The runner is not going. And that's ball 3. And how he does go is Girardi can't find the ball. He's having a difficult afternoon catching Bilecki, and that'll be a wild pitch. And the count has gone to 3-2 on Oquendo. And a base hit. They bring the runner home. They don't stop these Cardinal runners very often, and they'll throw into second base, and it's 5-2. Only the 15th run batted in for Oquendo this year. You could see Ozzie limping going into the dugout there, Tim. Field. He fanned his first time. 4th. Tewksbury does get the bunt down. He's tagged out by Grace for the first out of the inning, and Greg Gumbel is standing by Greg, and that's bad news for the Giants. And Trevor Wilson had come on to help him out, and bad news for Bilecki. He leaves, and here comes the left-hander Kramer into the game for the Cubs. This Kramer has some terrible figures with regard to innings pitched and hits allowed.
His 17th appearance on the year. He started the season with the Cubs. He was called up on June 12th when Mitch Williams...
One out. Strike call, and Coleman knew it. He doesn't quarrel. Fourth. And he golfs one into deep right center field, and Wynn is on the move, and he caught it. The wind kept taking it away, but Marvell stayed with it, and Kramer got him out. St. Louis gets one run on one hit. They leave one. They've left three. And the Cardinals have built a 5-2 advantage.
For the Phillies, hit a home run in the top of the first. Donnie Moore, the late Donnie Moore, hit a home run in the bottom of the first.
Kendo got lucky on that one. He was going to have to really dig down, but that ball came up nicely, and he threw Wilkerson out for the first out in the home fourth inning. Swinging.
Aren't scored, then you get to see our telecast free from Toronto next week. Huh?
And he chased it. That's him. That's Dunston. And sometimes these pitchers are crazy to throw strikes to him because he'll get himself out.
Yeah. But he's still having a very formidable year. 10 home runs.
Girardi hits it to Pendleton. Tewksbury is doing wonderful work. Down go the Cubs in order. We have played 4. St. Louis is on top. 5-2. He can reach the seats to the opposite field. And he hits it to Sandberg. One out here in the 5th.
Third baseman turning Wrigley Field into Camp Pendleton today, right? 4 RBIs, single, triple, have been allowed by the bullpen.
And Todd Zeile strokes another hit. He is certainly doing a lot better. Took him quite a while once they handed him the job when Tony Pena left St. Louis as a free agent. Here. The pitcher is due to lead off in the Chicago 5th. That's ball to right center. Dawson. 2 out. Little change of speeds on that one, and Pendleton had to hold back. Milt Thompson.
Runners on base. Now this is hard to believe. Milt Thompson leads all active players with 2 outs and runners on base. A .333 lifetime average. And look at the guys he's ahead of. Kirby Puckett, Wade Boggs, Will Clark, and John Kruk. Shoulder in there. You have to keep it close.
Third baseman Wilkerson boots it. I'll be darned. We've had some errors on this infield the last couple of days in a 2-on, 2-out situation.
3,100 at bats.
And that shoots up the middle, and Zeile will score to make it 6-2. First run charged to Kramer. 20th run batted in for Ozzie Smith. And the error kept this game going.
Inning, and they'll beat you.
Kendo shoots it into right, and Dawson might have trouble on that one. That's going to drive in 2 more. And Oquendo's going to go for third with 2 out. By the Cardinal fans.
Oh, you might be thinking, what's so unusual about a 2-out triple? Well, you have to make sure if you're going to third base with 2 outs, because you don't want to make the third out at third. This is the third 3-out, the third triple with 2 outs today.
Brighter. And down he goes. That ends the inning. St. Louis gets 3 more runs on 3 hits. The big Cub error. 1 left. St. Louis has left 4, and they lead at 8-2. This is their 3rd hurler of the day. Clark drills a base hit into right center. He didn't waste any time. He'll get a double. And as Clark perches at second base, we'll go to Cardinals leading 8-2. The pinch hitter Clark probably figured, well, I'll get the easy fastball to hit, and
been scored.
And that ball is into short left and a hit, and the runner will stop at third. Smith was in the hole, and and you could hear that one clunk off the bat. But he gets a hit, and the first two are on, and things. One walk. And Sandberg has two doubles. One on.
Being low ball hitters, high ball hitters. Ryan Sandberg is an inside hitter.
On a breaking ball. Just like that, it's 8-5.
Remember we talked about the area right in here? Watch where this pitch is. Now that was a hanging curveball. It wasn't a fastball, but certainly a mistake.
They go to work. Here the pop fly by Grace. Paladin stays with it, and that's the first out of the inning.
Has hit 30 home runs 2 consecutive years. And unless he
is about as quiet a person as you see, and there's his dinger. Now Dawson walks one. Coleman is there, gets it, 2 out. That ball with a sinker as it got out there, a sinking line drive. I think Dawson thought he had something when he took.
I think Whitey Herzog just wants to get Tewksbury through the 5th inning, and then he'll bring in the left-hander to start the 6th.
Marvell Wynn to Willie McGee. Can you get there, Willie? Yep, down they go after the home run. 3 runs on 3 hits. Changes the scoreboard. We played 5 at Wrigley Field, and St. Louis leads Chicago. The score is 8-5. The new pitcher for Chicago, the third of the day, is Jose Nunez, 1-5. At the plate, Coleman. And a hit into left field. And a terrible throw by Smith, but backed up nicely. Grace, the crowd groaned when he cut that one loose. Coleman doubles on the first pitch by Nunez. Well, now the batter McGee. Cardinals leading 8-5 in the 6th. Up the middle, good play by Nunez. Good base running by Coleman, and Nunez almost threw that away. Guerrero 1 for 3 on the year. Short lead. And Guerrero hits it high in the air. That'll be the 2nd out. Dawson is under it. Has it. And I'll point out the obvious here that had McGee moved the runner, that would have been a run. This goes for both teams here.
First base, and Darling said Zeal didn't go around.
Well, they could have punched him out. It's 3-2. That's ball 4.
Their bottom 4 guys, excluding the pitcher, have driven in all 8 runs.
Third, 2 out, 2-2. And the Cardinals lead 2. They have left 6. No runs, 1 hit, 2 left. We'll return to Wrigley Field after this word from your local station. The most difficult thing for him as he broke in.
I think the toughest thing has been the fact that there's been that microscope effect, and I think as a result of that, I've put a lot of pressure on myself to help the team win. And I think the fact that the team's been struggling, and I think that I was expected to drive in runs and really help the team win, is the thing that I've had the toughest time dealing with, not helping the team to win.
John Dunston, look out, Bob Tewksbury. That's a hit. Boy, that ball whistled right past the pitcher. Dunston's first hit of the day. 1, Joe Girardi is 0 for 2. Man, he's big. When he was pitching for the Cubs, I didn't realize just how big he was till I
big man
got next to him. Big hands. Even Pierre and Horton. Tewksbury on the ropes.
On.
And he struck him out.
And that was another fastball inside.
He's hoping for the long ball with 2 out. He was going to send Varsho up if it was a double play situation, because Villanueva doesn't run well. But now with 2 out, he'll go for the pump and 1-2 the count with 2 out. And a ground ball cut off by Pendleton. Force out 5-4. Cubs leave 1. They have left 4. We've played 6. 8-5. St. Louis.
500th home run, May 12th in this ballpark. That's the fly ball. Beats the left back. That's it. That's it. Hey! He did it. Ernie Banks got number 500. A line drive shot into the seats in left.
There's Ron Santo, who's broadcasting now for the Cubs. He played third base alongside Ernie Banks, and Jack Brickhouse had the call of the home run. Hey, hey, hey. And you saw how cheap the home run can be in this park. Thompson is 0 for 3, and that's Paul Ossenmacher. And that should be caught by somebody. Dunston for the first out.
Yeah, we mentioned the 12 games that the Cubs have played since Mitch Williams has been out of there, and the Mets on July 11th, or June 11th, pardon me.
Smith to Sandberg. And 2 out.
By the way, you may be wondering who that pitcher was that served up Ernie Banks' 500th home run. It was Pat Jarvis. Last I heard about Pat, he was the sheriff right outside Atlanta, and that's the team that Paul Ossenmacher came from.
Rick Sutcliffe. They fixed a little cartilage in his pitch.
Bill Long went down, the reliever. Jerome Walton, a fractured left hand, last year's Rookie of the Year.
For Tewksbury, perhaps, because Horton is warming up again. And there is ball 4. And they call Tewksbury back, and they're going to bat for him.
Is the way he uses his right and left-handed bullpen relievers. Strength of a left-handed pitcher any better than Whitey Herzog.
Wilson corks it right at Smith, and he caught it. He missed one earlier, but he caught this one. Cardinals have now left 7, but they still lead by 3. Amy leads the singing of Take Me Out to the Ballgame. The venerable Harry Caray.
He is a beauty, a legend in this town and a few other towns, too.
1-1 to the batter. Uh-oh.
Oh, look at that.
Where'd you get
Look
that?
at that. What year was that, Jack?
Probably 1955 or so. Garagiola and Carey and myself. I worked with Harry for 16 years. Dwight Smith hits it hard. No, can't handle it. And he's going for 2, and he makes it. Now a big hustle. Dwight Smith. He's familiar with this ballpark. The ball dies on the grass.
Extra base by running hard out of the box. We talked about Dunston doing it, and when you play for Don Zimmer, he demands that you think double when you hit a single, and that's what Smith did.
Dwight Smith, he lost him. Smith doubled. Niedenfuhr's into the game, and who's hitting? Mr. Sandberg. He doubled and scored, and he hit a 3-run homer. He's in a great spot, and he hits it into the wall. They'll never throw him out. It's a hit, and it'll be 1st and 3rd. That's 4 hits for Sandberg. And as he gloved the ball, the runner would have stayed at 2nd. Now the batter is Mark Grace, right field corner. Grace gets a hold of one. We might be tied here in a blink. Sandberg's running. Sandberg goes to 3rd. Grace makes it 8-6, and the tying runs are on at 1st and 3rd, and nobody out. How are we doing on the 20 runs, Tim? They're really fast. It's bothered the infielders, and that's shot by Guerrero. Now he's hit Niedenfuhr well over the years. Is going to get under it, and the runner will score. The throw should go into 2nd. Oh, the runner stayed. I'm surprised. Cartier held him up. There's a good throw by McGee, but that surprised me.
They didn't send him. No, I didn't think they would. There's nobody out. Now there's 1 out, and you've got a contact hitter and Wynn up. The throw is on line. Now watch Guerrero. He acts like he's going to field it because Grace was tagged up at 1st. and Guerrero didn't want him to get on second. And now
Due to hit, well, we're going to have a pinch hitter. But you saw those pictures of the two managers. That's the way they used to look.
signed to play professional baseball the same year. Don Zimmer took over the San Diego Padres in 1972, and now they're the boys of winter, huh?
They've been out in the sun and the wind for many years.
You could change that to the boys of winter, W-I-N-N-E-R, too. Herzog winning 3 National League pennants, 1 World Series in the 80s, and Don Zimmer winning the National League East last year.
Here's Domingo Ramos. He has hit 2 home runs. He's batting for Marvell Wynn, who is 0 for 3. Ramos, an opposite field hitter, but he pulls this one, hits it high in the air. That'll get a run home. The other runner tags at first, but stays there as the throw goes into second. It's 8-7, folks. That run charged to Niedenfuhr. 12 RBIs this year, no homers. And 1 for Ozzie. Boy, that one was almost bobbled also. The inning is over, but the Cubs get 2. They trail by 1. Domingo Ramos, the pinch hitter, drove in a run with a fly ball, stays into play left. Wilkerson, who had been playing third base, goes to left field. And Dwight Smith goes from left to center. Ossenmacher to Coleman. And a fly ball to short right field. The wind blows it away from Dawson and blows it foul. Lee Smith. You look at that baseball in his neat hand, his pitching hand. It looks like a pool ball.
From Jamestown, Louisiana, 244 career saves, second to Jeff Reardon, and recently traded from Boston when he was a teammate of Jeff Reardon's.
Now he's in the hole. Coleman was out stealing earlier in the game. Don Zimmer, Les Lancaster with Williams out. Coleman hitting to right center field, and Dawson has it come to him. Makes the catch for the out. Has a walk and a single, 1 for 3.
Sandberg with 2 doubles, a single, a home run, 3 RBIs. Swing just carried him through the strike zone.
With 1 out, he drills it to right field for a base hit. You don't run on Dawson. He has a great arm, so McGee stays at first. Let's take our CBS cameras outside Wrigley Field and see what's going on. It's a sellout here today. These are some of the folks on the rooftops across the street. New pitcher, he does. A 1-out single by McGee, and with Guerrero coming up, Zimmer makes another move and brings in Les Lancaster. As I mentioned, he's the best available to the Cubs now, with Mitch Williams on the disabled list. Unscored. This pitcher is 5-3 with 4 saves. He would like the double play ball. Cardinals leading 8-7, 8th inning. And there's a hit for Guerrero, his second of the day. He greets Lancaster with a hit. He stops at second this year. Early. 2 on, 1 out. 3-1 pitch. Base is loaded. Well, Terry Pendleton could have a big day. That's the 5th time that Zeal's been on base today.
Cardinals love this situation. Already 4 RBIs for Pendleton. The wind is still blowing out in right field. You can usually tell by the location of the catcher. They're going away again.
And a double play ball. No runs. 8 left for the Cardinals in the game. One with a half-dozen saves.
Traded for Tom Bernansky back on May 4th. The Red Sox needed a right fielder, and the Cardinals needed a stopper, with Todd Worrell probably out for the season.
Dave Collins takes over at first, where Guerrero had been playing.
We mentioned Dan Quisenberry tied with Lee Smith for 5th place, so if Smith can pick up a save, he goes ahead of Quiz in the save category.
It'll be Dunston, Girardi, and then DeCenzo. One and 2. Got him. Smith blew it by him. Well, this has been a great rivalry over the years, highlighted by some wonderful baseball players. We showed you Ernie Banks earlier.
Ernie Banks with his 500th home run on May 12th and May 13th, 1958. 2,999 hits before Mo Grabowski's.
Into left field, hit number 3,000. A run is scored. Musial around first, on his way to second with a double.
And the folks are still packing the bleachers here.
That voice was Harry Carey, and of course the stance. Everybody knows that.
The All-Star game. Smith throwing very hard, has a 3-1 count, and there's a pop fly into center field. And the shortstop backs out, and the catch is made by Smith for the second out.
We mentioned 5'7", and Lee Smith, there's nothing tricky about him. A 95-mile-an-hour fastball and a hard slider.
Second baseman Okendo. Down go the Cubs. Into the ninth we go. St. Louis leading this by 1 run. Some game. Thompson bounces it to Sandberg. By the way, we have a new catcher for Chicago. It is Lloyd McClendon. Plays third base, left field, catches, pinch hitter, right-handed batter, and a run batted in. Bouncer to Dunston. He cranks it up, and Grace helped him out. He drilled it into the dirt. Boy, a tough job catching those throws from Dunston. Grace also told us that's the toughest thing he has to do in playing ball for the Cubs is those throws from the shortstop. Okendo hits it into center field. DeCenzo has it. The stage is set. We're going into the bottom of the ninth. St. Louis leads Chicago 8-7. This fellow has had 3 singles in a row.
After an 0 for 16 streak.
The honor out in the bottom of the ninth. And he got it by him. The Cubs haven't been able to rally much. It's usually their trademark in this park. 2-2. Fly ball for McGee. 1 out in the ninth. And a 3-run home. Third baseman handled it. Got rid of it in a hurry to Collins, 2 out. That's the first time Sandberg has been retired today, and that's 5 in a row by Lee Smith. It's murder when Lee Smith gets ahead on the count. On 3-0 with 2 out. Ball 4. That's only the second walk given to the Cubs all day. Smith had retired 5 in a row, and he's going to pitch to Andre the Giant. 2 adversaries, Smith and Dawson.
The Cardinal outfielders also reminded to throw the ball to second base. You don't want to make a mistake on a ball hitting the gap.
And the breaking ball. 2 balls and a strike. Fly ball to left. And it hangs up for Coleman. St. Louis wins it 8-7. The wind hurt that one, Tim. He got a pretty good swing at it. Lee Smith gets a save as St. Louis beats the Cubs for the second day in a row. And you've got to have that stopper in this day and age to win in the big leagues.
I think Dawson hit it a little above the trademark. He didn't get all of it. And I think the salient point, Jack, is that the wind was blowing out to right and not to left.
Kind of stopped the ball and pulled it within range of Coleman. And Tewksbury got the win, and the starter Bilecki was the loser. Hope you enjoyed the affair from Wrigley Field, Chicago.